What's up, fantastic ladies and gentlemen? I am very happy to have you here with me today for another Meta Monday episode in this TCGO series. Meta Monday is that day of the week where we take a look at a competitive deck from the past or the present in a Pokemon TCG online meta. And today's deck is based around Primal Groudon-EX. As always, if you want to skip the deck analysis, just click the annotation on the top left of the screen or click the timestamps in the description and those will take you straight to the battles. Primal Groudon-EX is a deck that was played quite recently at the Pokemon Regional Championships. I think Nathan Brower took a second place with it in Kissimmee and Michael Canavas took a fourth place with it in Kissimmee as well. That's pretty good, I would say, for this Primal Groudon-EX deck. But one thing to note is that the regionals were in expanded format and the list I'm showing you today is a standard format list. Even though my list is based off Nathan's and Michael's lists, that means I still made some changes to it to update it to standard, and I also made some tweaks to it of my own because, just because I think some things could have been done a little bit differently, so I just made some tweaks there. Now, Primal Groudon-EX is a very big Pokemon with a ginormous amount of hit points, 240 and 1 attack for 3 fighting energies and a colorless. You do 100 damage and you do 100 more if there is any stadium card in play. Then you have to discard that stadium card. Slap on a strong energy, that means you are doing 100 plus 100 plus 20. That's 220, that's more than enough to knock out the most prevalent megas in the current meta, like Manectric EX, which is fighting weak anyways, so it doesn't really matter for Manectric EX. But also I believe Mega Mewtwo EX or basic EXs with a Fighting Fury belt, that as well, because 170 plus 40 from the Fighting Fury belt, that's 210, and that's less than 220 from the Gaia Volcano. 3 copies of Primal Groudon-EX, 3 copies of the regular Groudon-EX with Ripclaw, that's 30, you get to discard an energy if you flip heads to your opponent's active Pokemon, and then Massive Rend for the same cost as Gaia Volcano, you do 130 damage. No further effect of that attack. What I forgot to mention here is that the Primal Groudon-EX has an Omega Barrier trait, which is really useful because this trait prevents any effects of trainer cards played onto Primal Groudon-EX from your opponent. That means that Primal Groudon-EX cannot be licensed out. It is not affected by hammers, it is not affected by Team Flare grunts, so that means whenever you play an energy onto it, it will stay on the Primal Groudon-EX forever, unless of course you use it to retreat, because the Primal Groudon-EX does have a very hefty retreat cost of 4 energies. So a 3-3 line of Groudon-EX, Primal Groudon-EX, then 4 copies of Wobbuffet with the Bite Barricade. Wobbuffet will help us to slow down our opponent in setting up. For example, the Bite Barricade blocks my opponent from using Shaman with setup to draw into more cards and quickly power up his or her Pokemon, and that's really needed since we need to take, or we need 4 energy attachments to power up the Gaia Volcano, which means we need 4 turns, and 4 turns, that's a hell of a lot of time in this fast format, so we need some way to slow our opponent down, and that way is Wobbuffet. Then 1 copy of Regirock with the Omega Barrier, same as the Primal Groudon-EX, and the Landmaker attack. This attack will help us get back stadiums that were discarded with the Gaia Volcano attack from Primal Groudon, because it allows us to put 2 stadium cards from our discard pile into our hand. And that's about it for the Pokemon line. No Shaman in this deck since they do not work with the Bite Barricade. Just 1 more Pokemon, and that's Mr. Mime with the Bench Barrier. Prevent all damage done to your benched Pokemon by attacks. So that would prevent damage by, for example, Trevenant's Break, which can add up quickly over the course of 4 turns while we are setting up our Gaia Volcano. Then onto the energies, 7 fighting energies and 4 strong energies. These fighting energies will be used in combination with the Scorched Earth here to discard and to help us draw into some more cards, because we don't run Shaman, so we need at least 1 more form of draw support, and the Scorched Earth Stadium will provide that. It also helps us to get more damage out with the Gaia Volcano, because we can discard the Scorched Earth with the Gaia Volcano. 3 Sycamores for draw support, and then 4 Corina to get out our Groudons and our Primal Groudons, this Korrina will also help us to get out a lot of, well, techie trainer cards, you could call it. For example, we have a lot of one-offs, one Battle Compressor, one Escape Rope, only one Mega Turbo, one Ultra Ball. So getting to these one-off copies is very easy with the Korrina, since it allows us to put an item card into our hand as well as a fighting Pokemon. You might be wondering why only one Ultra Ball. Well, this Korrina is sufficient to get our fighting Pokemon out. We don't really need more Ultra Balls to do that. And why only one Mega Turbo? Well, the Mega Turbo, if we would play more Mega Turbos, the Mega Turbos would be dead cards in our hands at the start. So we want to avoid any dead cards as much as we can, since we will take a long time to set up the Primal Groudon-EX anyways. Having a Mega Turbo to help with that at the start is just a dead card and doesn't really help at all. That's why only one copy, which can come in handy for the late game, and we can search for it with the Korrina. 2 Professor's Letters to get some fighting energies in our hand, which we can then use to attach to the Primal Groudon-EX or to use with the Scorched Earth. 3 Robo Substitutes to stall our opponent in taking prizes while we are setting up our Primal Groudon-EX. 1 Super Rod to get back the energies that we discarded with the Scorched Earth. 3 switches here to switch between our Wobbuffets and our Groudons as well as the Robo Subs. Then 4 VS Seekers to get back our supporters from the discard pile, like the Korrina or like the Sycamore. But more importantly, for example, the Lysander. This Lysander will help us to stall as well, since we can Lysander around something like a Hoopa EX or a Shaman EX into the active spot and force my opponent to waste an attachment to retreat it, or dig into his deck for a switch, and that way we buy ourselves a turn. Then 2 Judges. These Judges I would like to switch out with N when N becomes standard legal again, but for now I went with Judges because we don't really have a good replacement for N. So 2 Judges for draw support, 1 Cassius to shuffle back a damaged Primal Groudon-EX into our deck, as well as 1 Pokemon Center Lady to heal up a little bit of damage to our Primals. And that's basically it. The only thing that's left is Stadium, Silent Lab, which basically shuts off abilities just like the Wobbuffet, but does so for every Pokemon in play, since the Wobbuffet only shuts them off for non-psychic types. And then 2 Focus Sashes to attach to our Primal Groudons. This prevents them from getting one-hit KO'd by their weakness, such as Vespiquen, since the Primal Groudon is Grass weak. And only 1 Spirit Link, and you might be wondering here, why only 1 Spirit Link? It might be counterintuitive. You might think or expect to see 3 or 4 copies of the Spirit Link, but when you come to think about it, it is actually pretty logical to include only 1 copy or even 0 copies of the Spirit Link, since in our first turns we will just be attaching energies to our Groudon-EX and passing the turn. So we'll attach, pass the turn, attach, pass the turn until we are ready to go with the Gaia Volcano attack. And since we are passing the turn, might as well Mega Evolve after attaching energy. There's no real need for the Spirit Link. The only reason I included 1 copy is for the late game, if we are in dire need of getting out a Primal Groudon-EX without losing or skipping a turn, then we can still search for the Spirit Link with the Korrina, provided that we haven't discarded it yet, of course. And that's it for the deck analysis. Pretty hefty analysis, pretty long analysis today, but yeah, this deck has I could talk about it forever, really. This is a very interesting deck to play and a very interesting list as well. Not a very common list, not very standard list when compared to other meta decks, but definitely a ton of fun to play around it. And that's what we shall do right now. We shall go into a tournament and see if we can pull off a win. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to my channel for more competitive, silly and fun deck ideas. Alright, we are in the tournament lobby and we are just waiting for the tournament, the standard 6-ticket tournament to begin. 6 out of 8 players have joined. It seems to be taking a long time though to find other players, or other players seem to be taking a long time to join. So I'll probably be right back when the match begins. Here we are, the first round of the tournament has begun and we are facing Anthony 170798 with a fire, water and a colorless deck. Fire and water combined, that is an interesting choice for my opponent. We get to go first and we will go first. There is no doubt about it. We want to go first for sure here. Oh my gosh, we start off with a Mr. Mime. Are you kidding me? Mr. Mime of all Pokemon, that's what we start off with. Oh, and this is a Frogadier Macargo deck. Some interesting combination there. We'll have to see how it plays out for us. Oh, and a Furret. Lots of different types of Pokemon from my opponent. Seems like a bit of a jumble of things at the moment. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what kind of strategy my opponent puts on the field. We will for sure draw into some more cards. There is a Stadium and a Robosub. I will put down a Robosub. And then I will go with the Corina for the Groudon-EX. That's what we really need. And maybe a switch, I'm not sure yet. Or maybe not for now. Let's take a look here. We have Focusage. How many energies do we have? 3 energies. That is enough for now. The Super Rod is in our deck as well. So we will go with... let's get out the switch. Why not? Or maybe the Battle Compressor. And start compressing some things. We'll go with that. Thin out our deck a little bit. We'll attach a strong energy. Then we'll Battle Compress. And Battle Compress the Pokemon Center Lady. Let's see, maybe a Judge. I think we have one in our hands. Let's count our VS Seekers. 1 VS Seeker. Only 1 VS Seeker in a deck and 1 in our hands. Okay, maybe let's not discard any Battle Compressors. How many Wobbuffets do we have? Discard any more supporters. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's discard a Wobbuffet. It's a little too late anyways now to start off with it, so we'll go with this, I guess. Maybe a Sycamore. Then we have access to the Sycamore. And then we will end our turn for now. We have a VS Seeker to get to the Corina once again, and then we can search for the Primal Groudon as well. My gosh. I had a frog in my throat there, as well as a switch to switch into the Robosub. Opponent manages to get heads on the roller skates and draws into 3 cards. There's a Great Ball for a Greninja. We're facing a Sentret, which is fighting weak. We could actually knock it out with the Rip Claw. That would be pretty funny. And another roller skates. It fails this time. I think I might go for the knockout here if my opponent doesn't put down a basic. And it seems like it's just a scratch. He just got scratched, so we'll go for the knockout here. No need to do anything fancy. This will be GG right off the bat for my opponent. We'll go with the Corina. I won't get any Pokemon. There's no need for it. There's a switch. Switching and taking the win. That's sufficient. Pretty easy win here in the first rounds. Rip Claw for the win for 100 damage. Poor opponent. He played. He paid 6 tournament tickets, and I just obliterated him there with the Rip Claw. I feel bad for my opponent. So yeah, let's take a look at the stats. My opponent drew 26 cards already. That's pretty impressive. Groudon-EX MVP. And let's see if our other players have finished. It doesn't seem like it. I would be surprised if everyone else already finished as well. So it seems like Kenji Hawaii 5 has finished, but we're still waiting for Arcade 90, Darty MT, Charky Kikan, and Kilava 9. So I'll be right back when those guys have, and girls of course, have finished their matches. It took a long time, but finally the other players have finished, and it seems like we will be facing Charky Khan for a spot in the finals, or to battle for a spot in the finals. There he is with a water and a dragon deck. We get to call the coin flip once again. Let's go for heads, and yes, we start off once again as well. That is darn good. I'm loving it. And let's see. Oh, here is the Wobbuffet. We will start off with the Wobbuffet. We don't have any draw support whatsoever in our hand. That is pretty unfortunate. We need a top deck then. There is a Primal Groudon-EX, but nothing else. Might as well bench this Robosub and end our turn. Yeah, this is not looking too good at the moment. We missed out on an energy attachment. We don't have any draw support. We don't have anything to work with. These VS Seekers are dead cards in our hand right now. Luckily, the Bite Barricade will block the ability from the Octillery. So if my opponent gets out the Octillery, it won't help. My opponent has a terrible hand as well. There we get a Stadium. We'll Primal Evolve. We'll have to end our turn. This is a terrible start for the both of us. Terrible start indeed. I do have a switch to switch out in the Robosub if my opponent manages to power up an attacker. We'll have to wait and see if we can get an energy next turn. I will probably use the Scorched Earth to draw some more cards. There's an Axew, so this is an Axew Octillery deck. Wait, what is the evolution again? Axew, Fracture, Hexorus Octillery deck, that's it. There is an energy. I have to discard that energy. We need some more cards in our hands. Okay, well, I guess I'll take it. I was hoping to get some draw support, but hey, an energy is an energy attachment. An attachment is an attachment. There is the Fracture. So at some point we'll have to switch into the Robosub. We get a Cassius. That's not too useful for us at the moment. So it's just attaching, passing the turn for now. Until my opponents can pull something off. And there is the Hexorus, which can hit us for a Dragon Pulse. We get a Regirock. Yeah, I'll just have to end my turn here. If my opponent has an energy, he could go for the Dragon Pulse, knock out the Wobbuffet. There is the Octillery. I think my opponent should have retreated before evolving into the Octillery, because he cannot use the Abyssal Hand. I think he kind of forgot that there. So now he's stuck with the Octillery and needs 2 energy attachments. And there's a 3rd energy. I will discard that energy as well. We definitely need some more cards here. And here we get a Korrina. Finally, we get something to work with. Ideally, I would like to get a Lyson around that Hexorus. But we'll go with the Korrina for now. We'll get another Groudon on our bench. And then, what should we get? A Robosub, a Switch, Professor's Letter. I'll get a Professor's Letter, get some more energies in our hand. We have the Super Rod to get the energies back from our discard pile. That way we can draw into some more cards using the Stadium. And we thin out our deck a little bit as well. There we go. 4 more energies are left, 4 basic energies. There should be some more fighting energies on top of that. So we are nearly ready here. The only thing we really want or need is a Lysander. That way we can hit first. We can hit before my opponent. Getting rid of that Hexorus. And from there on out is just a straight road to victory, I think. Oh, we get a Sycamore. I won't use a Sycamore just yet. We get a Judge. I might actually go with a Judge. I might just do that, or I might actually switch into the Primal Groudon now and then just take the hit from a Dragon Pulse. Because my opponent doesn't have anything else ready. Yeah, I think I might do that. I might go on the offensive here. Could even Cassius the Wobbuffet back into our deck. And then keep the Switch in our deck on top of that, so that we don't burn the Switch. We'll go with that. We'll Cassius the Wobbuffet back into our deck. Then we'll promote the Primal Groudon-EX. And we will go for a Gaia Volcano, discarding our stadium. We've had good use of it so far. And now my opponent is under a ton of pressure. There's another switch. No need for that switch at the moment. Probably go with the judge in the next turn. Judge my opponent. My opponent's hand size down unless we see another basic, another Axew maybe, but it's just a Remoraid. My opponent needs another Axew for sure to be able to respond. If he can dig up a Pokemon Center Lady, that would be pretty neat as well. We could go with the Korrina for Pokemon and then for a Battle Compressor, although I think the Battle Compressor is priced. There's a Teammates. That was a well-timed Teammates from my opponent. Well-timed indeed. So I'm thinking we will see the Axew and maybe a rare candy for the next turn. There's the Axew. We don't see the other card yet. There's a Dragon Pulse for 130. Discarding, let's take a look. Metal Energy and a rare candy. So we are going to go with the Judge. I will attach a Focus Sash to the Groudon on the bench. Then I'll thin out my deck a little bit. We actually need another Stadium. I'll discard the Switch and the Sycamore. We'll get a Wobbuffet that we shuffle back. And we'll also put down this Regirock. And I actually won't go with the Judge maybe. Because we need, or we don't need that Stadium, we have too strong energy. Well, no, we still need it. We're just doing one. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Sycamore. We need a Stadium, that's what we really need. There is a Mega Turbo, no Stadium. That's really unfortunate, no Stadium whatsoever. Well, let's switch back into the Robo Sub and go with the Super Rod to get these energies back. We have a Pokemon Center Lady to heal up. I'll let my opponent take a hit at this Robo Sub. And then we'll go back in the active, heal up a little bit, bring ourselves down to 70 damage with the Pokemon Center Lady. That prevents a knockout from the Hexorus on my opponent's bench. Because we saw indeed the rare candy. That's why I wanted to use a Judge. And my opponent, I think, used the Lysander there on the Primal Groudon. But that doesn't work, mate. That's the Omega Barrier stops that. So I think it was a bit surprised there that it didn't work. Missing out on the Stadium wasn't too bad. We are still definitely in the game. Our opponent cannot one-hit KO us at this point, so we'll go with the Pokemon Center Lady. And then we will hit for the... It's still not a knockout actually. So yeah, I'm going to have to use the Escape Rope. And see what my opponent promotes. We'll promote the Wobbuffet. And end our turn. We definitely need that one more Stadium. That's too bad that we couldn't get it so far. And my opponent passes the turn. Look at that. There's a strong energy. We'll just power up for now. We'll power up on the bench. Take it a little bit slower. We'll even Mega Evolve. Might get another Robosub out. So we'll play down the Robosub. And then we'll Mega Evolve. We have a Mega Turbo for the next turn. So it's taking a little bit longer than I was expecting. That's because we can't get our Stadium. Maybe I should have waited to Lysander out the Hexorus instead of knocking out the Octillery. It was a gamble. It kind of failed us. And we don't have any energies in our discard pile to use with the Mega Turbo since I shuffled them back into our deck. That's unfortunate as well. 2 VS Seekers have been used. We should have at least one more. I can get the Lysander with that VS Seeker. And there is a Stadium. There is a VS Seeker. So we'll power up the Primal Groudon on the bench. And we'll end our turn once again. We also should have... Well, no, all of our switches were burned already, as well as our escape rope. That's too bad, actually. I would have loved to see another switch. Then we can switch out between the Primal Groudons. Now we cannot switch out our Wobbuffet either. This is turning out to be an awful match. My gosh, yeah. It went downhill from the start with going for the knockout on the auxiliary. I should have been more patient there. Should have been more patient indeed. Yeah, I'm not sure what we are going to do about the Wobbuffet in the active spots. We could go with the Cassius, and there is an escape rope. I actually don't mind seeing that escape rope. We'll promote the Robosub. So our opponent helped us out there. Helped us out big time. And then we're going to go for the knockout on the Hexers. Probably with this damaged Primal Groudon-EX. Okay, so it's looking a little bit better right now. I should have paid more attention to the resources that I was burning, like the switches. Here it is. Here is the Primal Groudon. This is going to be a knockout. We also get a judge. I will play down one more Robosub. And then should I judge? We'll keep the judge for the next turn. What I will do is use the Professor's Letter and get some energies out of our deck. Thin out our deck a little bit so that we have a better chance of drawing into another stadium. And we have one more energy now that we actually can use with the Scorched Earth. So let's see here, yeah. I will keep one energy for the attachment to the Primal Groudon. Or should I try and draw into the stadium now? I will actually try to draw into the stadium now. And there is another stadium. So I am all happy now. I am ready, set to go for the knockout. Gaia Volcano for 240 damage. Unnecessary damage. There is another Primal Groudon. We don't really need it at the moment. My opponent could go for another Dragon Pulse. But after that, he doesn't really have anything ready. Goes for a VS Seeker. And a teammates is going to get another Axew then. Those clutch teammates from my opponent. I gotta hand it to him. Very clutch indeed. We also gotta be careful here. We are already down to 8 cards. So we have to finish the game with the 2 Primal Groudons that we have. I could heal up one of the Primal Groudons. Probably going to let this one get knocked out. The one that is in the active spot right now. Let's take a look at my opponent's discard pile. Only one line in a discard pile. I'm expecting to see a 4-4-3 line. I'm expecting to see a very thick Hexorus line from my opponent. And there is probably the Axew, probably a rare candy. Goes for a Metal Energy. So we will indeed see the Dragon Pulse. Still have to see the Axew. Oh, has a level ball. So my opponent probably got a rare candy and another Hexorus. We've yet to see any double Dragon Energies. Yet to see that happen. An Ultra Ball for... Oh, discards a Stadium and a Muscle Band. For the Octillery. Ha, okay, there it is. Now the Octillery can use the Abyssal Hands, because the Wobbuffets are on our bench. Dragon Balls for 130. Discarding 3 cards. My opponent has to be careful with discarding those so many cards as well, because he's down to 15 cards now. We will attach an energy, then we'll put down the stadium. We will go for the knockout with the Gaia Volcano for 240 damage. Bring ourselves down to 3 prizes. There is a Lysander. No real need for it right now. We have everything we need, and my opponent promotes the artillery, so he must not have the necessary... Oh, there's a double dragon energy, so he does have the double dragon energy. Town map. And 1 Axew is prized. This is the last Axew in my opponent's deck. We won't see a teammates for another Axew. And a Burge. What did my opponent get with the teammates then? I thought he would have gotten a rare candy, but 2 rare candies are prized and 2 have been used. So indeed, there wasn't a possibility for my opponent to get a rare candy. We'll go for the knockout on the Axew on the bench. And I think that's a GG then. It was exciting for a small moment in the match where my opponent could get the Hexerus going, or could keep a stream of them going, but now it's failed, and it's pretty sad to see for my opponent that 2 rare candies were prized. I feel for him. The chances of that are not very likely. And Super Rod as well. And I think my opponent just discarded another Hexerus. Yeah, there's another one. Goes for the Shana. I think that's it. I don't see my opponent getting any more Hexerus. Pistol Hands for 1 more. Yeah, this is GG. There it is. There is the concede from my opponent. So this matchup took definitely longer than I was expecting. I think if I would have been more patient at the start, we would have won a little bit earlier. I went aggressive and it came to bite me in the ass. Still, we managed to work around it. Let's take a look. 860 damage dealt versus 380 from my opponent. MVP Primal Groudon-EX versus Hexerus. Yeah, so it just says that the next round of the tournament is going to begin in 60 seconds, so you won't waste any more time on this screen. Let's have a look who our final opponent is. It is Dart MT. Dart MT will be our final opponent. Won the game against Kenji Hawaii 5. Hopefully this will be a good matchup, a tense matchup for the final, for the win in this tournament. 10 more seconds to go and we shall see how it plays out for us. Hopefully we can start off once again as in the first. Hopefully my gosh. Hopefully we can start off first, that's what I wanted to say. Darts MT with a colorless and a fighting deck, so it's fighting versus fighting, and it seems to be a female player. This time we won't be going first unless my opponent allows us to go first. Maybe we are facing Lucario EX and something else, although Lucario is typically played with bats. I'm going to go ahead and say that the colorless typing is Shaman, so if we can start off with a Wobbuffet, that would be excellent. No basic in our hands. Look at that, very nice energies from my opponent. And we saw a Max Potion. Max Potion, that's pretty interesting. Again, no basic. My opponent failed to get a basic as well. Hopefully she fails again. Yes, she does. Oh, it's a Garchomp deck. That is not good. Garchomp can destroy Primal Groudon. Oh my gosh, we start off with a Mr. Mime. Are you kidding me? Of all things, we start off with a Mr. Mime. Yeah, that's not good for us. I think this is basically an auto loss for us, because we don't have anything to respond against Garchomp. There's a focus sash, that means we need to hit the guard from twice. Yeah, this is a terrible. If we had a Wobbuffet, we could have stood a chance, but we started off with the Mr. Mime of all things. There's a Wobbuffet. I will go with the escape rope. Bring the Wobbuffet in the active spot, and then it's time to go with the Corina. Get a Groudon going. A Groudon, and let's take a look here. The Robosub. We for sure need a Robosub to take some hits for us. We have a Professor's Letter. So that's something. We'll go with the Professor's Letter and get 2 energies in our hand. Attach the first one and then probably another one in the next turn. Do you want to counter the stadium? I don't really feel like countering the stadium at the moment. So I will end my turn. I really want to get the Primal Groudon-EX in our hands. That way my opponent cannot Life Center it out. And we see a slow evolution. Gibble through the Gabite, no rare candy so far. And get a Judge in our hands. Huh. Do I want to go with the Judge instead of the Sycamore? Let's take a gamble and go with the Judge so that we keep the Mega Turbo in our deck. Here is an energy, but nothing much else. Might as well bench this Robosub and then end our turn. Yeah, that's a Judge didn't pay off. And a Bridget as well, so another Gibble came down. Definitely paid off for my opponent, that Judge. That Judge basically screwed us over there. Are you kidding me? And there's a Primal Groudon. So it is time to evolve into the Primal Groudon. All that we need now is... yeah, oh, that Focus Sash is very annoying. Very annoying indeed. And another strong energy. I will start powering up another Groudon-EX. So that we have 2 to go. Because we'll definitely need 2 against the Garchomp deck. Here is the retreat into the Gabite. I think we'll see the... oh, we don't see it. Hits us for 60. Can we get a switch actually? That would be pretty cool. If we can get a switch, we can possibly prevent the Garchomp from coming out. Here is a switch. I will switch. I will attach a strong energy. And we'll hit for the Gaia Volcano, getting rid of that stadium in the process. My opponent cannot get a Garchomp now. That would be fantastic. At least we got the first hit in. And there's a Muscle Band as well. Can we get... oh, no Garchomp. Wow, I am so surprised to see no Garchomp. We'll go for the Pokemon Center Lady, heal up. We might actually be able to pull this off here. That would be insane. We even have the Cassius to shuffle the Primal Groudon back into our deck if we really need to. Here is another Gaia Volcano for the knockouts. If we could get a Focus Sash of our own on this Groudon on the bench, that would be super as well. Or a Sycamore to license out the Shaman. And there is the Garchomp, rare candy into the Garchomp. Lysander for the Wobbuffet. I might just... I might actually Cassius the Wobbuffet into our deck. We can't miss a beat here. We have to keep attacking. We'll go for the knockout on the poor Hawlucha. Bring ourselves down to 4 prizes. So right now we are looking pretty good. Here's a Lysander. We could use it for the Shaman, but if we see an energy, I will definitely knock out the Garchomp. Corina, oh no. Oh, luckily there's a Muscle Band, so no Focus Sash on this Garchomp. And goes for a Gabite. As well as maybe a... oh, a Battle Compressor. No Professor's Letter. I was expecting to see a Professor's Letter. Unless my opponent has an energy in hand. This would be insane if we could pull this off against Garchomp. And it is silent. It's my opponent stopped doing anything. You can hear the tumbleweed, or you can see the tumbleweed rolling across the screen and retreats into the Gibble. So did not have an energy. That will be a knockout on the Garchomp. We'll go for the knockout for sure. That is the best way to go. Let's take a look. 130 hit points. We have more than enough. We don't need the stadium to increase our damage. We are doing 140 as it is. That means only one Garchomp is left in my opponent's deck. We have the VS Seeker to license out that Garchomp if my opponent gets it in play on the bench, because the other Garchomp is prized, and then it will be GG unless we see a Super Rod. Here's a Battle Compressor. Opponent puts down the Stadium. Are you kidding me? Why would you do that? You are increasing our damage. And discarded. I don't know. I think he's... yeah, Sycamore. I think it was a Sycamore that got discarded. Yeah, it probably was. And there is a Focus Sash. And a Phantom. So no Garchomp as of yet. Very interesting. Ideally, I would like to draw into some more energies, because we haven't been able to attach to the Groudon-EX yet. Do I want to go for the knockout on the Shaman? That's the question here. No, I will go for the knockout on the Gabite for now. Get rid of that Focus Sash. Yeah, I think we'll go with that. We can heal up. I don't think we can get knocked out. I don't see my opponent doing 200 damage in the next turn, so I won't use the VS Seeker for the Pokemon Center Lady just yet. There is another Stadium. A strong energy and the Garchomp would suffice for the knockout though. We already see 2 strong energies in a discard pile. 1 strong energy is prized. So I would be surprised if my opponent could get the last strong energy. There's the Garchomp. We have the Groudon-EX to respond. Do we see the strong energy? No, we don't. Turbo Assault onto the Gible on the bench. That is okay. I'm going to probably let the Primal Groudon get knocked out. I think I actually will. Or should we heal up? It doesn't really matter healing up, I think. I wanna keep the VS Seeker for the Lysander. And let's see, I'll thin out my deck a little bit. Get rid of this Wobbuffet, no need for it. Get rid of this Regirock, no need for it either. And this Corina, we don't really need to see it at the moment. And then we'll go for the knockout with the Gaia Volcano. And that should be that for the Garchomps. Let's see here. 1, 2. Oh no, because the first opponent still has 1 more Garchomp, because we didn't knock out the Garchomp at the start. We knocked out the Gabite. So there's 2 in a discard pile. 1 is prized. We have a Corina to go for a Spirit Link. And maybe a Professor's Letter. And then we can evolve into the Primal Groudon on the bench. Use the Mega Turbo to power it up and go for the knockout on the Garchomp. There is the Garchomp, so we will see a knockout here, I think. Focus Sash. Turbo Assault. Still no knockouts, because my opponent couldn't go for a bite off. There it is, the Turbo Assault onto the Garchomp. And my opponent concedes the match. Are you kidding me? This was just getting a little bit interesting. But I think we had it there. We could have gone for the Corina for powering up the Garchomp on the bench. We had an energy as well, so we had a backup attacker ready for sure that could have dealt with the Garchomp in the active spot. I can't believe it. We took the win against Garchomp in the finals of the tournament. That is pretty impressive. Damage dealt 1120. Oh, we could actually wait. What was I saying? We could have just licensed out the Shaman. Yeah. For sure, I already completely forgot. My whole plan was to license out the Shaman, and then I nearly forget in the end there. Yeah, this would have been game because we would have licensed out the Shaman. And we stayed alive since my opponent couldn't get the Garchomps out before we knocked them out. So the energy acceleration for my opponent was a little bit too slow there. If we would have seen 2 energies on that Garchomp, and then we would have gotten knocked out. We would have still been able to respond I'm pretty sure. Very, very interesting game here. Very, very interesting last round of the tournament. Very, very surprising outcome as well. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I hope you did too. Leave a like if you enjoyed this matchup and subscribe to my channel for more competitive, silly and fun deck ideas. I hope you have a fantastic day and I will see you next time.
Karp, 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 Karp.